Well, hello! I'd like to welcome you to my first impressions of a Kaweco v16. Now, you might be thinking, V16? Let's see, you've done a V61, a V14S, a V101, although I don't think I've published that one yet. So, what's different about this one? Well, I'm going to show you. So, let's dive into it. So, the Kaweco v16 arrives in this nice leatherette case and reveals, now you can tell, V16, it's an extra fine nib, but by golly, that form factor sure looks familiar. Really familiar. Really familiar. And part of the clue lies, of course, on the case, Kaweco Sport. Yes, this is a Kaweco Sport. This is a modern Kaweco Sport. Review I did a long time ago. This is a much older Kaweco Sport. So the V16 is a Kaweco Sport. It's actually a smaller pen than the Kaweco Sport, but offers some nice options that you'll see here in a moment. So we'll take a look. Whoops. And I almost destroy it. So round barrel, just like the other. A lot more facets on the cap. And we see Kaweco Sport again. We'll turn that around so you can actually read it. If I unscrew it, what's this? It's a piston filler. And yes, it very definitely is a V pen because it has that same kind of V nib thingy. So let's just compare. The modern Kaweco, of course, is not a piston filler. It's uses either a cartridge or a god-awful converter. Of course, these pens aren't meant to be used that way. They're meant to be used posted. And yeah, I've just barely got enough. Oh, no, I don't. There we go. I wanted to be able to compare them in the flesh. So the modern Kaweco has a steel nib, even though it's gold colored, it's steel. The original has a gold nib. And they're about the same length. I'd say the section on the vintage is a little smaller than the section on the modern one. So I'm kind of excited about this. So I'm going to set the modern one aside because this isn't a video about the modern one. It's a video about the vintage one. So one question I had right away. Okay, that answers it. I wondered if the cap would spin the piston turning knob, and it does not. And now is the time to test that, not later in the video. So, let's see let's fill it up. So with a pretty red pen like this, I'm thinking Granat, Califolio Granat, which is sort of red. Lots of nice bubbles coming up. One fill, not so awesome. But more bubbles. And one more time, just for luck. The piston seems to operate quite smoothly. On the whole, I'm pretty impressed. So this is the Kaweco V16 with an extra fine nib. The ink in it, of course, Califolio Granat. There's definitely a little bounce to this nib, so let's see how the flex test works out. Hardly a flex nib, but like I said, definitely has some bounce. On the whole, I'm pretty pleased with how that turned out. Wetness and flow. No trouble keeping up there, although a little trouble keeping it on the camera. The smear test. I think this is going to turn out to be wet because some of these lines up here are still wet. Yep, that's smeary. And of course, I always like to test reverse writing. Okay, a little more friction than the regular writing, but not bad. And finally, the world famous Peer Gustafson test. And I think that turned out very well. Now, normally my next step would be to do the pocket test, see how well it fits in my shirt pocket, but two things. First of all, no pocket in this shirt because it's a sweater. Second thing, no clip on the pen, so what's the point of doing that test? This is a pocket pen. It's meant to write in your pocket, like, well, in your pocket. Maybe in your purse, but I don't really carry a purse. So, I won't do that test today. So what do I think? I'm impressed. I wish that the modern Sport came as a piston filler. Failing that, I wish the modern Sport came with something other than its god-awful aerometric converter or even its miniature converter, which you can use in some of the pens. I don't really like the filling mechanism on the modern one. I think this one has a much better writing experience. I think the modern one has a little bit better feeling section. But what a fun pen to add to my collection. Now, will this pen be going on hikes with me the way the modern Sport does? Oh, hell no. This thing is not leaving the house. If something happened to my Kaweco Sport, the modern one, oh well, I'll just buy a new one. That's kind of the deal with a pocket pen. Something happens to this, I'll cry. So, yeah, I'm really happy to have this added to my collection. So I look forward to doing some more writing with it, finding out what I do and don't like with it. So I want to thank you for watching. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.